Welcome in everybody to GM territory. On today's show, we're going to discuss the pitcher epidemic that we're currently seeing in Major League Baseball, where all of these star pitchers going down due to injury. We're also going to talk about that Tarps OFF section out in Busch Stadium in right field. And to wrap things up, should the San Francisco Giants be selling right now? Roll that intro. Alrighty, Jim. I want to start with the pitcher epidemic right now in Major League Baseball. This is crazy how many star pitchers we see getting injured. I mean, look at the graphic here. Hunter Brown, Blake Snell, Max Fried, Garrett Crochet, Tarik Skubal, just to name a few, and it's counting. What's your take on all these injuries right now?
Yeah, we've all watched this game evolve, and we're having pitchers throw with the highest velocity that we've ever seen in the history of baseball. We're having pitchers throw more breaking balls, more secondary pitches than ever before, and it's resulting into more injuries and more serious injuries, and it's scary. This was a tough week in baseball. Losing Max Fried, now they're calling it a bone contusion. I have a hard time believing that's all that is, to be honest, but Dr. Neil Elatrash is going to take a look at the MRI this week in Los Angeles and see if he has a different opinion here. But, it's a setback. And then Blake Snell has loose bodies. The Dodgers placed him on the IL. This is the second time he's had loose bodies, so he's going to get operated on. The Mets lost Clay Holmes this week. I mean, it just seems to be happening week after week. And the thing that scares me, Trey, more than anything, is when I look at some of the best young pitchers in baseball. Let's take Jake Mizorowski of Milwaukee and Paul Skeens of Pittsburgh. Every time they take them out, I'm scared they're going to get hurt. Mizorowski throws 3 pitches in a row at 103, and I'm like, is he going to get hurt on the next one? Or every time Paul Skeens punches out 10, I'm like, uh-oh, is he going to get hurt on his next punch out? And I hate that I get that feeling. And I think the big question, Trey, that we have to ask ourselves is, how do we fix it? And I know teams are working hard, but even the brightest minds in the game don't have a solution. And so I have to wonder a couple of things, and I got to get your opinion on this. I have a couple of thoughts. Number one, should teams be going to a 6-man or 7-man rotation? Or should we be getting our pitchers, instead of throwing at the highest velocity they can, should we be having them dial back? Should Mizorowski be pitching, say, at 96, 98, and just reach for the 103 when he needs it? Should we have some of these star pitchers throw less breaking balls because they're increasing the elbow surgeries? I mean, I'm just wondering if there's a strategy that would be smarter to, instead of having our pitchers throw their very best velocity and very best stuff, should we dial it back for longevity? Is it better for a pitcher, instead of having an ERA of 2.7, is it better to have an ERA of 3.2, but you stay healthy for 30 starts? Or you stay healthy for 7 years instead of 3 years? I don't have the answer, and I know we have a lot of really smart people in the game. We have engineers, we have scientists, we have medical people that are studying this thing. But this is a huge problem, and it's scary. I mean, look what it's done. You mentioned Hunter Brown on that graphic of the Astros. Astros season is over. They lost their ace. Look at these 3 guys. Skubal won the Cy Young last year. Crochet finished second. I think Brown finished third, but all 3 were the odds-on favorites to win the Cy Young. They're all on the injured list. So I ask you, what do we do about it?
I kind of think you brought up a great point about the 6-man rotation. Give them an extra day of rest. Maybe that's a good solution. The only thing I kind of pause at is, how does that look like when it comes to contracts at that point? Does it change in that perspective? And the other thing too is, yeah, maybe it's better to have a 3.2 ERA. Maybe it's better to throw 98 than 101. Now, look, I think it depends on what player. Obviously, the difference between 98 and 101, it's big, but there's a difference between 98 and 95, right? So I think it depends on the player, depends on the star. There's obviously, hopefully, a solution out there. But you're right. It's very confusing. I think I'd like to see a 6-man rotation. That's the route I'm going to take.
Yeah, and then it changes how much you throw on the side, how much you throw in between. I mean, it is, as you said, confusing. And you made up a good question about the contracts, because, the contracts are going to be affected anyway with starting pitchers. I mean, we're still paying pitchers as if they're making 30 starts and pitching 180 to 280, which isn't the case, right? And most of the time, you're going around the lineup twice and you're gone. The other thing that's really stands out is that how much pitching depth do you really need? Back
Yeah.
in the day when I was a GM, the goal was kind of 7 starters. You get a couple of injuries, but nowadays it's almost like you have to have 10 starters ready to go. I mean, I know in spring training and when we were looking at the Los Angeles Dodgers, we're like, they have so much starting pitching depth, they're prepared for injuries. And then you look at a team like the Astros in spring training, you're like, well, if 2 or 3 guys go south, they're done. And that's what happened with Houston. They didn't have enough starting pitching and their season's over. And
Right.
so it is kind of a fascinating study, but it's a problem we really can't ignore. Now, in the case of Blake Snell and the Dodgers, they can put him on the injured list. They can operate, get the loose bodies out, get him back in time for the second half of the season. And for the Dodgers, they have so much depth that it's okay. As long as Snell's ready in October, they're good to go. They can, because they have Justin Robleski, because they have Emmett Sheehan, because they built a bullpen that can eat 6 innings a night, where most teams can eat 4, right? I
Right.
mean, that's where the depth kind of plays in. But then you look at a team like the Mets, who both of us think they should take the T out of Mets and replace it with an S,
Yeah.
but that's another story. But to lose Holmes, I mean, now you've got McLean, Peralta, and then what? More questions than answers, really, with the Mets. Devastating. You look at the Atlanta Braves. I didn't expect the Braves to be the best team in baseball on Monday, May 18th, but that's exactly what the Atlanta Braves are, and it's because pitching depth. They were able to withstand the injuries to A.J. Smith-Shawver and Spencer Schwellenbach and early in the season, Spencer Strider. That's why they're sitting here, because Bryce Elder was ready to go. They pick up Martin Perez. He pitched depth. But this is a problem that's not going to go away, and I don't know the solution, right? I mean, I guess when I was a kid, there was a TV show called $1 Million Man, and he was bionic. Unless all of a sudden we're going to be able to put like machinery and robots in the shoulders and
Yeah.
elbows to keep them
Right.
healthy, this is probably where we're headed. So maybe a 6-man rotation, maybe we got to learn to dial it back and tell these pitchers, look, you don't have to throw your hardest velocity on every pitch. When I was watching Hall of Famers, like a future Hall of Famer like Justin Verlander or Max Scherzer in their prime, they would dial it up when they needed it. They would
Right.
have a comfort zone, say 94, 96, but if they needed 98, 99 in the 7th or 8th inning, they had it. And maybe that's what this generation should be doing. It's certainly something to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also makes me almost think that teams are developing pitching. Like if you compare it to running, it's like they're sprinting instead of marathon running, right? And then you see all these kids in college, high school, middle school. I mean, it all builds up over time, right? So it could just be a developmental thing as well. Um, so, I got to ask from like a front office perspective, do you think front offices have unintentionally created an environment where velocity and pitch shape matter more than durability?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's what we're talking about. And I think you just brought up a great point, which is we're watching the high school and college kids trying to replicate what the major leaguers are doing. So they're
Right.
trying to throw every pitch at high velocity and they're trying to do the shapes and sizes and they have the technology. And yeah, it's all adding up and that's where we are. But certainly a problem the industry is facing and certainly one they can't ignore.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also a thing where I think, like as a fan, most fans would rather watch, healthy stars all season rather than 102 for 5 innings, I feel like, right? That's how you're selling the tickets. You're coming to the game to see your all-stars pitch, right? So, Skeens or like you brought up earlier, Mizorowski, if those guys go down, that's tough. You're gonna lose some ticket sales.
Some wireless plans can get a little bit crazy, a little bit off the charts expensive. Mint Mobile can get you started with 3 months of premium wireless for $15 a month. That's a pretty
Who
good
doesn't
number.
like that? The way gas prices are going up, Scott, we've got to keep our mobile plan down. And Mint Mobile is your location to keep your mobile plan down. You can add family members. You can do all that for just $15 a month.
That's less than a drink in many cities these days if you like bougie drinks. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. If you like your money, Mint Mobile is for you. Shop plans at mintmobile.com/territory. That's mintmobile.com/territory. Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month 5 GB plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
So, all right, let's move on to a little bit of a brighter topic here. We had Tarps Off at Busch Stadium this past weekend, and it was electric. Jim, I don't know if you got to see it at all, but it was pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, it was amazing and great for baseball. And I give Oliver Marmol, the St. Louis Cardinals organization, the players, a lot of credit because they invited this baseball team that took all their shirts off late in the game. The Cardinals won it on a walk-off home run in extra innings. And the fans were like you would see in winter ball or like in a college game. These college kids brought a special energy. So Marmol brought everybody into his office. They gave them a bag filled with swag. The players gave them bats and balls autographed. They really took care of this group. And then Marmol went and said, okay, I'm now going to sponsor Tarps Off right field tickets for anybody that wants to come and take your shirts off and cheer, because it was that exciting. And the Cardinals have been one of the best feel-good stories of the season. Most of us had them as the last place team in the NL Central. Most of us had a team that was maybe 70 to 75 wins, and all of a sudden they're in a pennant race with a winning record. And that energy I loved. I'd love to get your take on it, because one of the things I love about winter ball is the noise, right? They come up with noisemakers. They scream and yell. The energy is amazing. And same thing with college, SEC games, right?
That's
ACC
what I was going to
games.
say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I love that college energy. And to see it at the ballpark, maybe this generation of fans, the young generation, will jump on this, and maybe Tarps Off can be at all 30 ballparks. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that would be electric. Like you brought up the SEC thing. Like, I love watching LSU baseball, right? I love watching that environment, that crowd. Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Tennessee,
Yeah.
the list goes on. It makes the game a lot more exciting. And also, this is now going to be a thing for the rest of the season. This is going to sell the tickets. And thinking about the players on the team as well, like you gotta love it. I personally think baseball should start leaning harder kind of into that college style energy and atmosphere, right? I think it makes the game a lot more fun. So I got I got a question for you here. Do you think would owners or people in the front office, do you think they secretly love this organic fan section just coming together?
Yeah, there's nothing like it. When pop culture arrives and you're not expecting it, there's nothing like it, and it can absolutely take off, and it can help sales. It does. The one thing baseball has right now, attendance is way up, TV and streamings is way up, satellite radio way up. It's incredible the enthusiasm that this game has right now, the momentum. The games are 20 minutes shorter. All the rule changes have worked. The fans are engaged like never before with analytics and technology. The fans love the ABS challenge system. So the game has just gotten to be right now, I think, the most popular that I've ever seen. And when you see an event like this happen in St. Louis, Tarps Off, all these kids ripping off their shirts, screaming, yelling with all the noise, it's an energy that you can't plan for. A front office marketing department, they can't come up with this and say, okay, we're going to do this today.
Right.
This has to happen organically. So we have this young amateur baseball team, 17 of them show up at the park, and it's late, the game's exciting, they rip their shirts off and they do this and they bring this energy. Now, what I think in the front office that you're hoping it becomes contagious. You're hoping it now happens to your fan base. And then think about this, because now all of a sudden, maybe the high school and college kids that aren't avid baseball fans, maybe they become baseball fans to be part of this.
Right.
Maybe now everybody wants to be on TikTok and Insta and on the gram, on Facebook, whatever. Maybe Snapchat, whatever. They all want to be seen in the outfield ripping their shirts off. I mean, I know I did my radio show earlier today. I ripped my shirt off doing
Yeah.
my 3-hour radio show on Sirius XM, and I'm waving my shirt like this during the show. Now, I didn't do it for TV because if you had seen me on radio, you'd have been embarrassed. That's why I did it on radio. But I did it, and I was loving it.
Yeah, it was absolutely electric. As a GM, would you care about this type of atmosphere affecting free agents or player energy? Like, can you pitch something like this?
No,
Not at
it's
all.
not that.
It's not
No,
like that? Dang.
no, it's not, and it's not a thing that's going to help you attract. But if you can increase your fan base and interest with things like this and take advantage of it, I mean, this is why all 30 front office marketing departments, the business side, needs to look at this and say, how do we duplicate this? How can we
Right.
do it? And I think that's what you have to do. Hey, we got to finish with the San Francisco Giants. We got to talk
Yeah.
about them. It's been a total disaster. I want to get your take. You've got a rookie manager in Tony Vitello who had never been involved in professional baseball at any level before he got hired. He's managing this team. Buster Posey, it's only his second year running a franchise, but they are vastly underachieving. Their 3-star players, Rafael Devers, Matt Chapman, and Willie Adames, are doing nothing. They're not producing at all. You look at the starting pitching, Logan Webb's on the injured list, and although Landon Roop is pitching well, their offseason pickups of Tyler Mahle and Adrian Hauser have not really contributed. So, what do you do here? How do you fix it? How concerned are you? And is the inexperience of Buster Posey and Tony Vitello to blame? That's the question.
Obviously it's a disappointing start to this season. They had some guys that definitely underperformed. On paper before the season began, I'm looking this as a legit contender to make the playoffs. And, after seeing the team a quarter of the way through the season, I don't feel that way anymore. And it's something that makes me think maybe they should start selling sooner, right? You got a rookie manager, you got a young general manager. It's one of those things where I think it might almost just be better to start selling now rather than later. Just build from the ground up. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean that's an interesting take for sure. I didn't see them as a playoff team, but I saw them as a 500 team or a team that could win more than they lose. I thought they'd be a third place team in the division. I thought Dodgers, Padres would be 1-2, and I had Giants third, Arizona 4, then the Rockies. Now I kind of feel like Arizona's the third place team. It'll be San Francisco 4, Colorado 5 when it's all said and done. But I think one of the things they have to figure out is how do you get Devers, Chapman, and Adames hitting? Because their trade value is as low as it's ever been. You got to get them going, and you got to find a way. And if you're hitting people aren't doing it, I think you got to be considering outside help coming in, because to trade them, you got to get the value up.
Right.
We talked about Mahle and Hauser not having great starts. There's not much trade value there. So I don't know what you have to trade. I think that's part of the problem. Maybe Luis Ariz, who's had a good year, he's hit 300, has improved defensively with the work he's done with Ron Washington. But, there's other issues too that bother me. Like, their best prospect is Bryce Eldridge. He's a power hitter who they believe in time will be 30 homers, 100 RBIs. Tony Vitello has put him in a role as a pinch hitter. He's not playing every day. So I'm not understanding why Buster Posey, the president, and why Zach Manassian, the GM, haven't optioned him out. He's got a lot of work to do defensively at first base if that's going to be his position. He should be in AAA playing every day,
100%.
working on defense, developing, getting better. Or if he's in the big leagues, you got to play him every day. And he's pinch hitting. How's he going to develop? You're setting him back. So I don't understand that move. And then there are games where Tony Vitello, to me, seems asleep. First base open, Kyle Schwarber at the plate, he pitches to him. He's done that, and then it looks like a deer in headlights. And I don't know how much help he's getting in the coaching staff, but I think they might have to consider bringing in maybe make a change with a couple of coaches just to bring in some different mindset. Maybe get Bruce Bochy and Dusty Baker more involved in trying to get this team better. But they're at that crossroads where they don't have a lot of tradable players. Their stars aren't performing, and they're completely underachieving, and you have to fix something. Now, I know Tony Vitello, they want to be the long-term manager, so you're not going to make a change there. Buster Posey's just starting his career. So if that's going to be the management team, then you got to focus on coaching or analytics, or as you mentioned, maybe you start trading early. I just worry that you don't have a lot of trade value on your 3 stars that are absolutely doing nothing.
We love our dog Bella, who splays out in the open sun on our floor like she's an underwear model, and that's why we love her so much, to scratch her belly.
She's a cutie, that Bella. And a quick message from today's sponsor, the ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program. If you're frantically looking for what to do with your pup when they have an issue, the program offers customizable accident and illness plans, making it easier to get your pet the care they need. When you enroll in an ASPCA Pet Health Insurance plan, you could get a $25 Amazon gift card. It's a little treat for you while you're doing something great for your pet. To explore coverage, visit aspcapetinsurance.com/FOUL. That's aspcapetinsurance.com/FOUL. Eligibility restrictions apply. Visit aspcapetinsurance.com/Amazon terms for more info. This is a paid advertisement. Insurance is underwritten by either Independence American Insurance Company or United States Fire Insurance Company and produced by PTZ Insurance Agency Limited. The ASPCA is not an insurer and is not engaged in the business of insurance.
Yeah, that's a really good point there. You need to have some sort of value. Let's say the Giants get hot, right? Let's say they win, 10 of their next 15 games. The story changes a little bit. But, something I think about as well, like let's say Devers goes on a streak, right? Let's say he, in his next 14 games, next 2 weeks, he hits above 300, hits some bombs, it's looking like his old self, which he has been playing better recently.
Yes.
Do you strike when the iron's hot? Would you sell then?
I think it depends on the return, but to your point, I think you're engaged with everybody.
Yeah.
And you're seeing what's out there. And I think if the right trade came along that's going to help build your future, you've got to consider it anytime between now and the August 3rd deadline. Usually teams don't get serious about trading until the end of June, July, and then you get a lot of action after the All-Star break. It's usually too early to trade, but I was told by multiple GMs that they've had more trade discussions earlier than ever before, including Jed Hoyer from the Cubs. Dave Dombrowski has said it publicly with the Phillies, and other GMs have also chimed in. So, yeah, I think it's fascinating, but I think one thing's for sure, San Francisco better start to right the ship some way. By the way, if you've made it this far, you're going to love the next video, so check it out right here, and make sure you hit the subscribe and like buttons. Trey and I really appreciate it. This show is only going to keep getting better because the closer we get to the trade deadline, the closer we get to free agency, the more exciting, the more inside information we're going to provide for you. So again, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Trey and I really appreciate it. And for now, ciao and chillax.
We gone.
If you made it this far, you'll love the next video. Check it out right here. And make sure you subscribe to GM Territory. And you're here when we start talking trades, free agent signing, and prospects.